in terms of integrating these psychedelic experiences into therapy, it requires a skilled and supportive setting. I know you provide some therapeutic aspects and, parts of your ketamine therapy in the clinic, but what should people look for when seeking ketamine-assisted therapy or treatment centers, like in terms of that therapeutic benefit?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I'm biased, but I think a doctor, should definitely be there on site. That's not always all clinics like that. Some are run by nurse practitioners, some are run by naturopaths, ER doctors, anesthesiologists. I think as long as they have some personal experience in trying the medicine, I think that's like vital. But they actually say 90% of clinics, the people giving you the medicine have not tried the medicine. The integration is a crucial factor. Like we look at MAPS, trying to get MDMA federally or FDA approved. It's 42 hours of therapy around 3 8-hour experiences. So it's the medicine plus the therapy. They're not going to have just the FDA approval of the medicine. So I think it's ironic that some people are just giving ketamine but not putting integration around it. So you need that proper support because we're going to open you up. Right? Like I say, we're a human operating system and ketamine defrags the hard drive. We're going to create space. But now if we open you up and you don't have anyone to help you to integrate that, we've missed this window of opportunity. And then you're just going to go right back to your old ways. So it's like finding a clinic, because we're in Arizona here, but if other people in other states are hearing this, find a clinic that has a program. Right. And if they don't, then, being sure to use our integration coaching partners. They're amazing. You can always reach out to them on your own and then go to a clinic where you feel supported. You should be able to go in and check out the environment as well. I'll let someone come in and just see the space, see if the energy feels right. Yeah. You got to be properly screened. You should be doing survey scores as well, because if you don't measure something, you can't manage it. So how do they know, how to dose you or how are you doing and how to dictate how your treatment's going? So look at that whole package, that whole program, and who's actually doing your infusion, their experience. Look at the Google reviews, 100%, because, if you have 100 plus reviews, they're going to see some real stories in there. You can't just, you have 10 reviews, you could just get 10 of your friends to, write that. So there'll be some bias there. So do your due diligence, look at what the clinic is offering, if it's a program versus just giving you the medicine. I'll admit we're not the least expensive clinic in the Valley. We are hands down the most comprehensive clinic in the state, and probably one of the best ketamine clinics, honestly, in the country. I would go toe to toe in any of them to show our process because our results are phenomenal. And I love doing our work with first responders as well. So we have an ongoing study with them. We're trying to be thought leaders, in this space.
How do people, I personally also have a lot of friends and clients who are first responders or veterans. How does one get involved in the studies that you're doing with those individuals? Oh, so we've been really fortunate enough to work with the 100 Club of Arizona, which supports all the first responders in the area. I don't know that they support any retired first responders, but they've also been working with the Bob and Renee Parsons Foundation. Bob Parsons, you might know as the guy that started GoDaddy. Very fortunate in his business success, but he was also a veteran himself, fought in Vietnam. And he was miserable when he came home, right? It wasn't until 2018 he read Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind. Oh, great. He's got that 4-part docuseries on Netflix, which I'm sure you all watched. Yep. But that introduced him to psychedelics, and he tried a bunch, and it worked for him. He said it's the only thing that brought him home from the war was psychedelics, right? So, he's trying to support veterans to get care. He's supporting all these first responders as well. So I think reaching out to both of those foundations, then they can make this a lot more affordable. Thanks to them, we've put at least 80 firefighters and police officers have completed the program, and they've only had to pay $500 out of their pocket to get almost $6,000 worth of care. Wow, that's amazing. Thanh you for that.
No, you're well. Thank you. To serve those who serve is honestly, it's truly an honor and a privilege. I look at first responders as our hometown soldiers, and it's important to raise awareness around it. A lot of focus is on veterans for good reason, but also firefighters, especially 20 plus year careers. Like imagine like you show up at someone's house, their child is drowned, or you show up on a motor vehicle accident, everyone is, not alive. Like they see a lot of trauma and they're not robots, right? And they deserve to have different modalities to heal. Right now, there's only 2 FDA-approved treatments for PTSD, Zoloft and Paxil. They're both SSRIs. They don't work very rapidly, a lot of side effects, right, like we've already talked about.
Right.
So we just want to add ketamine as another tool into the toolbox, into the armamentarium of mental health for first responders.
So looking ahead, what are the future prospects and ongoing research in the field of ketamine therapy? And, what are you excited about in terms of that?
I don't know, like here's the thing with ketamine being a generic medicine, that there's not a lot of studies per se around ketamine itself, because to get the on-label indication takes hundreds of millions of dollars usually. And since it's generic medicine, no one will make that money back, right? So it's considered experimental by the insurance companies. Well, what they are having some research in is like R-ketamine, right? One of the isomers, just like S-ketamine, Spravato, is patented and is on label for treatment-resistant depression and suicidality. But there's a catch. You got to be on an SSRI to get it, right? Wow. So obviously it works if it's FDA approved for treatment-resistant depression. Yeah. So it's kind of ironic that the IV isn't. So that's a whole other tangent there. Sure. Our study is something that I'm excited about. With the first responders, there's a thing called the Craig-Tiger Act, where I think it's like 30 something hours of therapy a first responder automatically gets if they're involved in a traumatic call, like say a child drowns or something like that. And there was a point in time where that wasn't the case. That didn't exist. So I want to get to a point where ketamine is kind of like a Craig-Tiger Act, where, hey, you just had a traumatic call. Now, not just the therapy, but here's another modality that we can use to help you. That's great. In addition to the EMDR and the talk therapy and the CBT and all these different things out there. So I think a lot of it is more like maybe small clinic studies, like seeing our own results. We can't publish what we did because we didn't do internal review board approval prior to it. But we know in our clinic, the results are like, honestly, like off the charts. The numbers were, when we've run the numbers last, 86% success rate in treating PTSD. Amazing. And the way we measured success was you had to have a 50% or greater reduction in your PCL-5 score, which measures PTSD. And our average reduction was actually 74%. So nothing out in medicine today has a result like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was awesome. So that's what I'm excited about. Other psychedelics as well, like psilocybin is in trials. I think maybe just like phase 2 at this point, whereas MDMA has completed their 2 phase 3 clinical trials. So now they're going to apply for that for FDA approval in June. That's what Rick Doblin was saying at the Science of Psychedelics conference recently. I envision the future. These are the 3 things I want. Just put it out there. Maybe the universe can manifest it. We already have IV ketamine. I want IV psilocin, and then I want IV DMT. And if I could have those 3 medicines, we could really be waking people up on a regular basis very rapidly. IV psilocybin's a prodrug, has to get metabolized into psilocin. The acid in your stomach, turns it into psilocin. That's why people put in lemon juice, lemon tech, right, to help accelerate that, basically the metabolism of it. And then IV DMT, because there were studies in the 90s out of University of New Mexico with Rick Strassman, The Spirit Molecule, great documentary, check that out, listeners. And also Imperial College of London is doing studies with IV DMT as well. So I think if I had those 3, because then it's also like, it's all at the time it takes to give the medicine. IV psilocin's around like 2 to 3 hour experience, and IV DMT is rapidly metabolized, so you could go in and out of that. I'm all about looking about scalability, right? That's why ketamine, even if every psychedelic's legal, ketamine's still going to have its place because it's relatively quick. You can have that experience. It's not an all-day affair.
Right. Yeah, which would be so nice.
Yeah, I'd like to see more research on, other applications of ketamine, not just for, treatment-resistant depression or major depression, anxiety, PTSD, but, we know that is causing this neuroplasticity, this neurogenesis. Well, we get a lot of patients asking us, if that's the case, can it help with other things like, dementia, even, in the early stages, right? I think we're all hesitant to research it because, there's conflicting evidence whether anesthetics cause dementia. Some studies say yes, others say no. But, I'd be interested to see more research out there. We had a patient, he went through the program, but he was wondering for his dad who had Parkinson's dementia, if he could try it. And the only reason why we didn't go through with it is because he was taking a medication, memantine, which is it's another NMDA antagonist, so it would basically be competing with ketamine.
Yeah.
So it probably wouldn't have worked out well. But I'm still interested to see research out there, seeing other applications of the medicine. And then also, Apple just came out with their AR system.
Yes.
What is it called? The Vision Pro or something like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, we're already using technology in our process with the Apollo. And we've gotten great results with it. So I'm excited to see how we can incorporate VR experiences or augmented reality into it.
That's exciting.
That's true, especially as part of the integration process.
Oh, yeah.
Like once it becomes
for
more
sure.
mainstream and you're at home, could you integrate that experience at home with VR or AR?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the psychedelic medicine movement, the psychedelic medicine renaissance, it's underway. We're still at, I think, probably the stages of infancy
Very
here.
nascent, yeah.
So it's very exciting.
Yeah, you are on the forefront for sure. You've been talking a lot about taking people through psychedelic experiences. We'd love to hear a little bit about maybe an impactful realization that you've had in your own psychedelic experiences.
Well, I want to open up that with a quote from Stanislav Grof. He's a Czech psychiatrist, and I always tell people that psychedelics are another lens through which to view our reality. So basically, he said what the telescope did for astronomy, the microscope did for biology and medicine, and that's what psychedelics would do for psychiatry and psychology and then human consciousness. And we need to, help this global awakening here. There's a lot of healing that's happening, but there's also a lot of trauma that's happening. And psychedelics are not a panacea, but I think they're catalysts for healing. So it's like opening people up to, hey, look at life through a new lens. For sure, I know that we live once. I don't know what happens next. I hope there's a next. I think psychedelics have given me a peek that there might be a next. Ketamine, honestly, is ineffable. Psychedelics often our times are ineffable. What I tell people is, if you've never tried psychedelics, imagine trying to describe a sunset to someone that's blind. Words would always fall short, right? So just imagine what that sunset looks to you and that feeling that you get when you're looking at that sun, and know that psychedelics are that next lens through which you get to view this reality, this human experience. And we're here one time for sure, so might as well make the most of it. And especially things that are from the earth, like psilocybin, ayahuasca, cannabis, these plant medicines, they're here for a reason. And, I just believe that life is happening for us, not to us. And that's what psychedelics have shown me in my own healing journey as well. I really try to trust the process, and that, like everything, whether it's an obstacle, it's still an opportunity in disguise. And the problems are actually potentials that are going to put you on a new path so you can find the right solution. So try to approach life like that. I know a lot of times life gets hard, and, we say a smooth sea never made a skilled sailor, right? So weather the storm and know that, this too shall pass. That's good times and bad. So when you're in those good times, savor them, squeeze the juice out of them. And especially if you're in a good psychedelic journey, or if you have a challenging one, there's always something to be gained from it,
Yeah. Yes. The lessons.
The lessons, exactly.
Yeah, it's definitely, made me, more accepting of the struggles that I've had in my life, and realizing that everybody else is going through it too, right? This is the human condition, Stutz is a really great documentary to watch on Netflix. Jonah Hill's therapist, Phil Stutz, just the two of them just being open and vulnerable. And I loved what he talked about. The human condition is really three things. Everyone's experiencing pain, usually mental, physical, both, right? We all go through it. We all have uncertainty about what's going to happen next in the future. We can't predict the future, so that creates anxiety, right? And the only way to get through it all is to be grateful and do the work, right? So psychedelics kind of remind you that, you are the treatment, right? You can heal yourself, with the right attitude, right? You just got to keep doing the work.
The work.
We started with breath, and then as long as we have breath in our body, there's work to be done.
This is true.
Yep.
This is true.
Meditation.
Yeah. Speaking of that, do either of you have, a meditation or a yoga or wellness practice that you incorporate into your personal lives?
I try to at least a few times a week. I have the In Harmony meditation cushion,
those
and
are
I have it in
awesome.
my bedroom. And the slogan is "Say goodbye to the distracted mind, say hello to a relaxed existence." So it allows me to drop in and have a quick reset. Try to encourage that parasympathetic, the rest and digest side of the nervous system, calm down that sympathetic, that fight or flight that we're all stuck in, the different brainwave patterns like high beta, trying to drop into that alpha. And then also I try to do cold plunging. At least a couple times a week as well, to get you present, right? Like they say, anxiety is worrying about the future. Depression is dwelling on the past. And the present is just that. It's a gift. And breath work, cold plunging, meditation, they all get you present. That's the goal, right? The now, be here now. Ram Dass said it many years ago, right? So the power of now, Eckhart Tolle, get back into the present. Don't worry about tomorrow. It hasn't happened yet. What you are in control of is right now.
This is true.
Yeah, absolutely. I started with Headspace. I think apps are awesome because they kind of gamify the practice, right? That's really what they're there for. They tell you, oh, you've been on a 5-day streak, keep going. You get that notification reminder. Most phone notifications I try to remove, but for a practice like that, I definitely kept that one.
Good.
Yeah, I did that for about a year, and then took the training wheels off. Really, just be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself when your mind gets distracted, because that's really the whole exercise of it, right?
And it's inevitable.
Yeah.
It is inevitable, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, just reframe your mindset. And say, when you do get distracted, just look at it as an opportunity to practice another mental bicep curl. That's what we're telling our patients. And we're still recommending Headspace to this day. Now they have a series on Netflix. So most people have Netflix, so we'll tell them, go watch Headspace, do 1 episode per day, and that satisfies your meditation requirement. So
Beautiful.
yeah, still doing it to this day, at least 5 or 10 minutes, usually at the end of the night.
That to unwind the mind. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's good. Yeah, well, we're big believers in the meditation over here. We both practice daily. So it's good that you're sharing these tools with your patients to help integrate the experiences. Yeah, well, maybe I'd like to ask one more question before we wrap it up. Are you spiritual people? And what does that mean to you?
Well, I'm going to go to this quote, is that, are we human beings having a spiritual experience right now, or are we spiritual beings having a human experience? And I tend to lean towards the latter. So if we're spiritual beings having a human experience, then that means maybe we've forgotten that. Our ego has got us to forgot that. We're all in separate, isolated bodies here, but I think collectively, energetically, we're all one. We're all walking each other home, as Ram Dass says. So if I try to tap into that I'm a spirit in human form, that means I have infinite wisdom and knowledge within me. So I definitely consider myself a spiritual person. There's a higher power. I think there's a reason for all this. And here in life is where we learn our lessons. This is the dress rehearsal. This is the batting practice. This is the warm up for what's next. We know life has tremendous suffering. So I hope the afterlife doesn't have that. But that which we resist will persist. So don't resist doing the hard work. And if you're in a traumatic time right now, there's an equation we have in our workbook. It's trauma plus healing equals wisdom. No one wants the trauma. Everyone wants the wisdom. Well, no rain, no rainbow. Right? That's just how it is, right? No pain, no gain. I don't make the rules. I'm just an interpreter. So 100%, I definitely consider myself a spiritual person, and just that there is something beyond this. And here is where you do the work and trusting the process, like that, like we keep saying, it's really important, Yeah, 100%. I consider myself a spiritual person having a human experience.
Yeah. I think everyone that's tried a psychedelic, no matter where you came from, whether you're very religious, very spiritual, or, atheist, agnostic, we all kind of end at the same place where you are spiritual to some extent, right? Because you realize that you're more than just this body or this meat suit that you inhabit, right? You're more than just what your mind tells you to. There's this energy, this essence, this aura, that can't be created nor destroyed, right? According to physics, right? So there is something beyond just this life and death that we have here. So yeah, definitely spiritual. I mean, I think I was spiritual before psychedelics too, but it just confirmed it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
I love to hear that from clinical physicians.
Agreed.
So I think that's a really interesting perspective. Well, it has been a pleasure to have you both here to speak with us. I would love to share with people also where they can find you, social media, website, anything you want to share?
Yeah, definitely on Instagram, psychedelic_doctors, DRS. You got to type the whole thing in. I think we might be shadow banned, because we're trying to put some good information out there. And then our website is advancedwellnessandpain.com. You can call our office. We do free phone consultations. It's 480-631-4800. We're here to help you. Reach out. Like I said, we'll talk to you for free on the phone. You get a doctor on the phone, right? That's like almost unheard of.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So we are here for you guys.
Thank you for being good people, doing good work in this world. Keep it up. We're behind you, supporting you all the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Makes the dream
Thanks
work.
for being
Yeah.
here. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And wherever you're listening, make sure that you subscribe to our podcast, whether that's Spotify or Apple or Stitcher or wherever. And if you liked what you heard today, give us a 5-star review or maybe a written review if you feel inclined. We'd really appreciate it.